I'm Charlie Simons. Do not talk. Talking about two things you're never supposed to talk about: religion and politics. That's what this mug is all about. If you want to get one, you'll be helping the show. Religion and politics. Do not talk. 15-ounce, big quality mug, and this T-shirt. God, family, country. Get one, please. Get two. Get 28. It's Christmas. You got to be starting to think about buying for Christmas, right? Do-not-talk.com. Do-not-talk.com. There's a horrible thing that's happening in the Middle East. The Bible talks about in the Old Testament about 10 nations coming together against Israel. This was from a prophet. And Ezekiel, Jeremiah writes about it. Of course, Daniel, the book of Daniel, talks about all that's happening. It seems to be happening now. On the very last day of Feast of Tabernacles is when these cowards attacked with missiles, unwarranted, unprecedented. Supposedly, nobody knew that this was all coming. We send $6 billion to Iran for what? In exchange for prisoners? We don't negotiate with terrorists unless you're Biden, and then apparently we do. So now they've set a new precedent, and all of a sudden a whole bunch of Americans have been kidnapped again in Iran. Hey, it got us $6 billion last time. They took that $6 billion and they sold these weapons to Palestine, or they just went in and said, I'll tell you what, you just move aside. We'll take care of this for you. Over 2,000 missiles rained down on the final day of the Feast of Tabernacles. Over 1,000 people murdered. And you have BLM Chicago posting a thing on Instagram that we stand with Palestine. BLM. Black Lives Matter. The hatred of the Jewish people is unprecedented. And it's not just Jews in Israel. It's a huge population of Arabs there too. But they're living in the enemy territory. So they're infidels. No matter how devout, no matter how devout they are with their Muslim faith. If they are Islamic, not all Arabs are Islamic. Thank God. It's a horrible thing, what is happening there. And it's predicted in the word. I really believe that this is the beginning of the 3.5-year war that the Bible says will happen, with 10 nations going after the nation of Israel to destroy them, to ruin them. Where are we going to stand? Where are you going to stand? Remember after Russia attacked Ukraine, we saw Ukrainian flags on everybody's pages. We saw Ukrainian flags on their vehicles. We saw Ukrainian flags at their homes. Didn't see American flags. We saw Ukrainian flags. We're standing against tyranny. Russia, bad Russia. How dare they? Where are the Israeli flags? What the hell's wrong with you people? How do you not see the stupid hypocrisy? How do you not see it, you on the left? Democrats. You either stand for the kidnapping, the rape, torture, the mutilation, and the murdering of women and children and innocent civilians, or you don't. Because that's what's going on. I was on a show, a friend of mine named Vindog. He calls himself Vindog. I love this guy. Invited me to be a guest on his show and to pray for Israel and to pray against this evil that's going on. And if it is God's will, and this is indeed the beginning of that 3.5-year war, as the word says, God's will be done. It's too late. It's already begun. End time stuff, man. End time stuff. Where are we going to be? How's it going to affect us? I don't even care anymore. I care about you. I care about your salvation. I care about your soul. I care about where you're going to go once we leave this earth. who you're going to be with when we return to it. Because Jesus promised there will be a new heaven and a new earth. Don't forget that ever. I'm going to be in heaven. Well, that's good. But I'm not quite sure that's what the word tells us is going to be. That we're all going to heaven. What a day of rejoicing that will be. There will be a new heaven and a new earth, and Jerusalem will come, a new city of Jerusalem will come down from heaven and be put over what this is all. I know, but if you don't read Revelation, you don't get it. And you're too afraid of it. You're too afraid of Revelation. Don't be. That's God's word. Pastors, please preach Revelation. Please tell people, please tell your congregants what is in that vitally important book. You got to make us ready, pastors. That's what a shepherd does. Directs the flock, educates the flock, keeps the flock safe, not telling anybody what's coming. And you know what's coming is not keeping them safe. So yeah, I care about you, care about your salvation. The only safe place to live in the world right now is in Christ Jesus, period. I hope you're getting right with God. I hope you're reading his word. If you don't have a Bible, contact us. Contact Forefront Aerial Productions, Kirk Tashawn, my producer. Contact me. You can do that. All the information is down below in the show notes. Always. How to get a hold of us. Send us an email. Let us know. We will get you a Bible. I will get you a Bible. I've done this before. I will send you a Bible. New American Standard, by the way, which is the closest you can get to the original scrolls and tablets. I don't need pretty, flowery language. And if you say, oh, the King James is it, the King James is the only one that's right. No, King James was translated, yes, from the scrolls and tablets that we could compile at the time. But it was translated into the King's English. Do you think they said thou, thine, they, thrice? Do you think they talk that way in Aramaic or Greek or Latin or all the different languages that the Bible was written in, the books of the Bible? No, it was translated into the King's English. And I see pastors who are insisting that's the only correct translation and there is no other. You've done zero research, zero. So New American Standard was compiled and updated and revised. The American Standard was revised, and there was a time that you wanted it done right and done well. You gave it to an American company or an American organization or American corporation because we did things right. But anyway, American Standard was a great translation. But then after the discovery of the scrolls, Salt Lake, I'm not thinking of the name of the scrolls and tablets in the, Kirk helped me out, where it was actually in Israel. And I've seen the site. I've been to the site of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Thank you, Kirk. Dead Sea Scrolls. It was updated. And that's the New American Standard. So that's the translation that I would send you. Or there's a great app. You can put it, and it's free. You can make a donation if you want. But they take seriously these folks who put this together. You receive, so freely you give. And it is literalword.com. Literal word, like literally God's word, literalword.com. You can find that in your app store or just put that in your URL and do a search for literal word and get that on your devices. Best part is you don't have to have any Wi-Fi or cell signal to be able to access it. Once it's uploaded into your device, it's always there. And it's great. It's got study notes and all kinds of stuff. I don't make $1 off of that. I'm just telling you that that's what I've found, and I really appreciate it. The Literal Word app. Okay, got off on the Israeli-Palestinian tangent. Where did they get those weapons? Well, we know they got them from Iran. Where did they get the money to buy them? Obama sent pallets of cash. Obama in the middle of the night, and the media did nothing. Sent pallets, not one, pallets of cash flown in on one of those C-130 cargo planes. Cash in different denominations, different world denominations, pallets of it to them, to Iran. And just recently, Biden gave them $6 billion. For what? For a couple of hostages to get them back? You mean you paid for hostages? You negotiated with terrorists? You worst president ever. And now that we've seen the results of that. Terror has rained down on Israel. And on the last day of Feast of Tabernacles, not an accident. It's a high holy day. It's the last high holy day of the year in the Jewish calendar. Lord help us. There's a man I really like, I admire, I respect. His name is Topo Padilla. Padilla bail bonds. Why are you going to have a bail bondsman on your show, Charlie Simons? Because of how bold he is in his advertising and what he says. Commercials that he buys, that he pays for out of his pocket to go on radio and television, mostly radio. And he's talking about what the government is doing in California to get rid of bail bonds, to get rid of bonds, which is constitutionally protected. But the state of California is getting rid of them, doing everything they can to get rid of them. Why? I remember the first time I heard him, one of those commercials, I'm like, why? Why? To what end? Why would they do that? To saving them money? What's it? Why would they do that? So I just called him and asked him. And then I asked him to be on the show, and he said yes. And he's my guest today. And we're about to learn together why Democrat-controlled states like California want to get rid of bail bonds. Hit it.
Yep, here he comes. Riding his trusted steed through the Sierra foothills as he brings you the news. He calls himself
Charlie.
What you doing, Charlie?
Sorry, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie. There you are. Look how cute you are. Yeah.
Hey, Charlie. What's with the dark glasses?
And now, here he is, a man of God, living in a world of Disney.
Ow, Charlie!
Charlie Simons.
Charlie bit me.
I got to confess something to you. I'm a product of public education. Most of my knowledge that I have now comes from learning after I got out of school, and I'm not joking. I am amazed at, and this goes back a few decades since I graduated from high school, and it's only worse now. It's only worse now. How little we know about civics, our government, how it is set up, how it works, how it all ties in with the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights, which no other country in the planet has a Bill of Rights, by the way, which is what sets us apart and makes us so different and awesome and brought to divine providence. The creator of the universe brought this nation together. It's so obvious, especially when you read the early writings of the founding fathers. I had this discussion with a friend of mine, Beth, yesterday, and she was going, well, I just recently learned that a bunch of the founding fathers were Masons. And they were all from England. Just about everybody. Was anybody there wanted to belong to the Masons, just like, whatever club was popular at the time. My dad was a lion in the Lions Club, but he still had, that doesn't, I don't get it. And I understand you have knowledge about the Masons that above and beyond what everyone else has, and they're a satanic group and so on and so forth, and they're hell-bent on taking over the world and making sure that we're all Masons. I will assuage your fears. The Father uses even bad people to make great things happen, and ultimately his will be done. And it's not an accident that the United States of America is the greatest nation in the history of the world that's never had more rights given to we the people to be able to decide how we're going to be governed. No other country in the nation has ever had those kind of freedoms. So, of course, you've got a lot of people who want to destroy that and ruin that because they're all about control. And in the state of California, where I'm a native, born and raised, I have seen things happening under the guise of, it's an emergency. So Governor Hairdo has to have ultimate rule and control so he can do whatever he wants. Things have been happening that I never thought I'd see in my lifetime because I never thought that we would accept that. I thought that we would rise up. We're not even rising up over $6 a gallon fuel right now. Nobody's saying anything. I don't hear anybody complaining about it. I'm like, what has happened to my fellow Californians? When did they get so emasculated? That's the best way to describe it. Topo Padilla is I'm proud to say, an acquaintance, and I hope to get to know him better in the future so I can call him my friend. First time I met you, buddy, you were standing outside the Arco Arena when it was still going in Sacramento, and I was doing afternoons on the Wolf, the country music station in Sacramento, and I was doing a live broadcast before the Taylor Swift concert. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. Tosh.
That's the very first time I met you, and you were taking your daughter, if I remember right, to see Taylor Swift because she just loved Taylor Swift when Taylor Swift was still actually considered country. That's going back a ways, buddy.
That was it. Those are great days. I love the Wolf, and that is where I met you, and just absolutely honored to know you and what you stand for. And I really mean
that. Quit. I hear your commercials, and I have over the years in Northern California where I live. You do radio commercials, and it doesn't matter if it's KFBK, KTKZ, KSTE, all the talk stations for the most part formats, but you'll run them on music formats as well as a bail bondsman. And we've all heard bail bonds commercials. Okay, you get in trouble. They got the cute little jingle, whatever it is, call us when you need us. And they got a cute, easy to remember phone number. And we've all seen and heard the bail bondsman commercials. And they're always usually late night. You, my friend, do commercials where you're telling it how it is. You're educating in 30 or 60 seconds because that's all you got. And you're paying for that advertising time. And I'm like, I love this guy because he's educating us on what's going on with the whole bail bonds issue, which I never thought was all that important until I started hearing your commercials and then seeing what was happening. I went, holy cow, they are trying to end that. They are trying to take away our constitutional right. And it is in the U.S. Constitution, isn't it?
It is. It is. Definitely is.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, I've been advertising on the radio. My father got in the bail bond business in 1979, and so as a 14-year-old kid, I watched what him and my mom were doing, and he got out of the car business because of gas prices, and then got in the bail bond business. My uncle, who's Leonard Padilla, was in it, and so as a kid, I got to see it. And then when I turned 18 years old, it's something that I wanted to do, and so I'm proud to say I've been a bail bondsman for 40 years. This is my 40th year in this business, and I look at myself going, geez, I don't feel that old that I've been doing something for 40 years, but I'm proud to do what I do, and when you talk about radio, it is such a great platform, and what you're doing here are even just as good platforms to have open dialogue, have good discussions. And but radio is a place that I've found. I've been on the radio since 2004. I've never gone dark. And it's a great place to educate people. And you said something a minute ago, a lot of bail bonds and advertise at night. That's when the clientele or their families are going to be listening. Well, I got to tell you who I need to educate more than my customers and get on there and say, hey, I can get you out the fastest. Come down. We're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I need to educate the legislators. I need to educate the lawyers, the judges, the people that work within the criminal justice system. I need to educate them more than I need to educate somebody that might need me because they want to get rid of us. And we're going to get into that. The why would you want to do this? So yeah, radio has been a great platform. And as you said, I've never been on there talking about how fast and great I am. I've just talked about educating the public.
I'll bet you've got stories, haven't done it this long, because part of being a bail bondsman is if they skip bail.
Yes.
Nobody is going to be getting that money back from them, but you. You're not going to have the courts helping you. You're not going to have the sheriff's department chiming in. Oh, we got to get Topo his money back. No, that's on you. As a bail bondsman, sometimes you have to strap on a piece and go after him.
Yeah, and we do. And a lot of people don't, just to explain bail in a minute or two, a bail bond is an insurance policy that we as bail bondsmen issue to the state of California, to the courts. And we give it to the jail, but then the jail gives it to the courts. That bail bond has one sole purpose: to guarantee that person is going to appear in court. And if they appear in court and everything happens, that's great. That's fantastic. I did what I did in underwriting that bond. They did what they did by guaranteeing that they were going to go to court. However, if they do miss court, it is then that we call the defendant, we call the indemnitors and say, hey, so-and-so missed court. We need to get him back in. And I'm here to tell you that over 90% of our clients that miss court, we're able to get them back in, go back to court without them having to go to jail or anything like that. We're able to do that because we build a bond with them. You said something a minute ago, law enforcement, the courts, the judges. Really and truly, I say this, and I'll say it on the top of the highest mountain. Who cares if these people go to court? Who cares? And I ask that question, not rhetorically, really and truly, who cares? Who has skin in the game? Well, I can say the victims of crime, they certainly care. And I have nothing but the greatest empathy for victims of crime. That's why I serve on the executive board for Crime Victims United of California, because they understand me as a bail bondsman. I am the front line of making sure that somebody goes to court so that victims can get their justice and their day in court and hopefully justice be served. So back to the bail bond, if somebody does miss court, we have skin in the game. I will attempt to get them back into court without having to go out into the field. But if we don't, we go out in the field and we do that. I don't have bounty hunters that work for me, anything like that. My father, Greg, who's 83 years old, still works. My son, Brandon, 30 years old, third generation, and a couple other people. We go out and we apprehend them. And I'm not out there trying to be a cop. I'm not out there, trying to do what the mystique of what you see on TV.
As a matter of fact, the last thing you want is to have any kind of violence ensue from it.
God bless. That's it, my friend.
Point where you have to say, you're caught, checkmate.
Yep.
What are you going to do? Yep. Hopefully you do the right thing. Come back to court and get this done so we can get paid back what we loaned to you, so you could get bailed out of jail.
And I just want to clarify that. So we don't put up money to the court. We put up an insurance policy. But if they don't go to court, me, Topo, and Greg Padilla, we have to pay that bond out of our pockets. We don't have an insurance policy that backs us. Now, I do have an insurance company that if I went bankrupt, they would step in and save me and my bacon to the state of California. But we pay that. So we do have skin in the game. So that's how a bail bond works. And that's why we're such an important part of the criminal justice system.
The Eighth Amendment to the United States Constitution protects against imposing excessive bail, excessive fines, or cruel and unusual punishments. The judge may set bail at any amount that is not objectively unreasonable or deny bail altogether. It is a constitutional right. And the state of California has decided, we don't want that anymore. And it makes no sense to me. I don't understand it. Why would they not want that?
Well, in California, to be quite honest, obviously has it. It says in our Constitution the right to be released on sufficient surety. What's a sufficient surety? And bail is not meant to be a punishment. It is not meant for anything more than just to make sure that somebody goes to court. And I say not everybody should have to bail out of jail through a bail bond. I don't believe everybody should, but some people earn the right through the seriousness of the crime. If they're have recidivism and they're just not learning, or they have failures to appear, that's when people have bail set. The problem we have in California, and I tell you, I have personally worked on this dating back to 2008. On the bail schedules. The bail schedules in California are way too high. Our judges chase each other. So in California, all 58 counties create a bail schedule for each county. They create these bail schedules, and so there's 58 different bail schedules. Well, they just keep climbing. Well, Sacramento's this high. Well, Los Angeles is this high. Well, San Jose is this high. Or Santa Clara is this high. And they just keep getting higher and higher and higher, and they are punitive, and they shouldn't be. You go look at places that, and I want to back up and tell you how I'm qualified to speak about what I'm about to say is this. A year and a half ago, I was elected to be the president of the Professional Bail Agents of the United States. I now sit as the president of the National Association. I travel across this country. I learn and hear. I didn't tell you that one, so I throw that zinger in on you. So I'm a little bit qualified to say what I'm talking about. I go to these other states, Alabama, Florida, Idaho, and other places like that. You can steal a car and your bail might be set at $1,250. And I'm dead serious. Well, you're going to pay me $120 in bail, Bondsman, and I'm going to guarantee your appearance in court. I might not go out in the field and look for you for $1,250. I just might not. Is it worth my life or your life or the danger of those around us to have that collateral damage? If I go and you don't want to go to jail, that we have to take you. So there is a balance, and sufficient sureties needs to be looked at. The bail schedules in California are too high. We tried to work with this legislature to lower them. And this very legislature, made up of this very party that's in control now, said no. And then they say, well, we got to get rid of bail because it makes people languish in jail because they can't afford bail. Well, you people, you very party, you were in charge when we tried to lower the bail schedules and you said no.
And if I may interrupt a quick second, Topo, let's talk about January 6th real quick, how they set that bail so exorbitantly high on purpose so everyone's languishing in jail. They can't even get a bail bondsman to post that bond because it's just so excessively high. Keep everybody rotting in jail, all because they happen to be at the Capitol building on January 6th in 2021. That's excessive right there, don't you think?
I absolutely cannot agree. I agree with you so much. I'm stumbled for words because it's so aggravating. They get caught up in their little puzzle. I want to say this, and please don't lose respect for me. They're playing 3D chess. They really are. The Democrats are playing 3D chess, and quite a bit of our Republican Party is over here playing checkers. We've got to get on the game, man. These people they're outwitting us, and we're like, what are we doing? But you know why, though, Charlie? And I can say this to you, my friend. We're good people that speak from our heart. We care about people. We truly say what we mean and mean what we say. And these people are about one thing, power. My dad taught me power corrupts, and absolute power absolutely corrupts. And these people are hell-bent on doing whatever they can to do to stay in power. It's a sad thing. Sad day we're in.
So they're acting like they care. Governor Hairdo and the rest of the Democrats who have controlled this state for far too long they did the whole thing with Proposition 25, which was supposed to end the bail bond industry. That was a few years ago. What happened with that?
So fortunately, and you used the word, I was hoping you'd head down. Industry. So the people that are trying to get rid of us, the bail reformers, they want to reform. It's bail elimination. And for the most part, across this country, it is the Democratic Party. Although I will say some Democrats are coming around. They're coming around going, wait a minute, whoa. And if it was not for the Democratic Party, I can promise you that bail would have been eliminated in Proposition 25 because you have quite a few legislators in this moderate caucus we have in California. They're tired of it. They're tired of their communities being harmed. Because if you look at who's being harmed? The cities that are controlled by the Democrats. And they're looking at us going, geez, they're not over here tearing up Granite Bay or Beverly Hills, even though that idiot mayor said we need to get rid of law enforcement in Beverly Hills. Good luck there, pal. So, they're getting tired of it. And I'm telling you, more and more are coming around. And the Democratic, the moderate caucus in California is sick and tired of this. And Proposition 25 was a ballot initiative that would have absolutely eliminated bail. Well, SB 10, Bob Hertzberg, who I do not give the title of Senator Hertzberg, he was an activist. He passed SB 10, which eliminated bail, and then Proposition 25 was put on the ballot by people signing enough signatures to do that. And that is on the ballot. That over 2 million voters said no. We do not want to get rid of bail in California. As you said earlier, we don't want to get rid of that constitutional right to bail in California. Over 2 million voters did that. Yet this legislature, and now I will tell you, and I will point him out, the very own Department of Insurance Commissioner, Ricardo Lara, who was a legislator, who's now a commissioner, he's a regulator, him and his department are aimed at doing whatever they can do to harm us. And we can get into that later. They're doing what they can do to harm us because they don't want us around. He forgot he's now a regulator, not a legislator. The voters have spoken. That was defeated. Bail is here. I will say in this last session, there was nothing in there that would harm bail in California. So, so far, so good, but you never know. These people are relentless.
You've shifted their focus to the ultimate sexualization of children. That seems to be what they're really hell-bent on now. They hit this and then they move on, hit this and they move on. And always with this in mind, well, it didn't work this time. We're just going to reword it and we will bring it back.
Yeah. And Charlie, if I could say something. Yeah. If I could say something, I got to tell you, victims of crime. And really and truly, yes, there is victims of certain crimes. But then again, our communities, when you have these smash and grabs, we're victims of that. You talk about paying $6 for gas. Well, why are we paying $500 for a chainsaw that used to cost $250? My friend owns a local Ace Hardware store here in Sacramento, and I talked to him just Saturday, and we talked about the number of apprehensions he has in one of his Ace Hardware stores that he has annually. A few years ago, he had 1,200 apprehensions. That's not to talk about the people that got away. This year, he said it has doubled the number of apprehensions. He has part-time loss prevention people. That's at one Ace Hardware. So our costs are going up. So people are sick and tired of it, and I think we're
Governor
standing up.
Hairdo and his fellow demons are now trying to criminalize if you even try and stop a shoplifter, much less a gang of marauders coming into your place and devastating your business. They're trying to make it illegal to even stopping any of that from happening. And that's a direct result of those two store owners down in Stockton who beat the crap out of somebody who was shoplifting from them. They just said, we've had enough.
Well, I don't know if you know, there was like I said, I'm on the executive board of Crime Victims United. There was a big rally down at the Capitol. There was over 5,000 people at this rally not for victims of crime, but against that bill that would have made it illegal to stop them. And I got to be honest with you, it was most of the people from the Sikh community that were there. These people own these small convenience stores. And you know, God bless them. They stood up and they stood there and said, you're going to criminalize us from stopping people from stealing from us. You're going to put us out of business and take us out of your communities. Look what they've done to San Francisco. You know, there's people in San Francisco, they deserve much of what they get. They're now going to have to go 20 miles to San Bruno to go to a Target or to go to a Walgreens or a Rite Aid. And quite frankly, and I've got good friends over there, they damn well deserve it. And hopefully them people are waking up and realizing the reason those places are leaving is because of the theft. And so I'm going to tell you that bill got killed. And what you need to do a radio show on, if you don't know, the governor vetoed and signed bills within the last 24 hours. And I tell you what, if you did a show on that, not enough people are involved. Not enough people watch these hearings and listen to understand what's going on. If they did, they would throw quite a few of these people out. If they knew the number of bills that each legislator gets to carry and the ignorance that they carry, and then what this governor does, it's sickening.
All it would take is the media to actually do their job.
That's not going to happen. It's people like you.
What a complete 180 there would be if the media actually started doing their job and reporting on these things that are going on, these bills that are being proposed and even passed and signed into law, like 855, which they're now going to be taking your kids away from you. If your kid says, yeah, I've decided I wanted to be a girl and daddy's not going to like it. Well, that's okay. We're going to get you with some counseling and we're going to take you right out of that home, that naughty old home where they won't let you be a girl. And we're going to put you in foster care and you'll be so much happier there. And we'll be able to let you do whatever you want and teach you the way we want to teach you, despite what your parents think. That was just signed into law.
Yeah. And when I hear and I heard these politicians saying we can't have parents know, we are afraid of these children's safety. Are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding? You're afraid of their children's safety? We are their parents. We are their family. And I'll be damned if some politician or somebody who thinks they know better than me is going to tell me how to deal with my child. And I'm going to tell you, Charlie, that's a whole nother day and a whole nother subject.
I know.
That fires me up.
Well,
Oh.
let's get back to why I asked you on. I wanted everyone to understand how bail bonds work, why it's there, that it is provided for us in the United States Constitution. We do have legal right to it. There's a purpose for it, because not everybody understands that. Why would the left be going after it and wanting to take that right away from us? Why is that so important to them? I have my theory, but I'd love to hear yours.
I will tell you, if you were to say, what's your top three? One of them is this: we're an easy target. We're a very small profession, very, very small. There used to be 4,000 bail agents in the state of California, and we are down lower than 2,000 bail agents in the state. It's sad. I mean, it is truly tragic. And the reason is because not everybody's involved in the politics and the association work. As I am, I sat as the president of one of the state associations here in California for 12 years. And then I graduated on to the national level. But I was involved. My father's involved. People that are involved and knowing what's going on and involved in their association know that while we're getting hit from left and right and center and forward, actually in the back of the head, they're not standing in front of us. And they don't want to fight square.
In front of you ever. No.
Yeah. That I know. So I didn't bail out of this business. No pun intended. I didn't get out of it, but a lot of people have. And it's very unfortunate, because if they'd have been involved, if they'd have listened to people like me say, we're relentless, we're going to win. So you ask, who is it that these people are? Well, unfortunately, I will say, and I hate to get political, but the fact is, it's the Democratic Party. When I found out about they were doing this in reform, I dug into it and I said, why? What is their agenda? I found out, and I'm going to tell you, and I can't mention names. I found out, first and foremost, why it was that Bob Hertzberg carried this bill, SB 10. And it's because I did a bond for a lady whose son was in jail in Arizona. I did this bond, and my son came to me and goes, Dad, this bond's out of Arizona. We don't do bail in Arizona. Let me tell you why. In Arizona, if I bail somebody out of jail, I've got 10 days to return him back to court. If I don't return him back to court in 10 days, I got to pay the bond. And if a police officer picks them up, the judge can order me still to pay the bond. So I don't do bail in Arizona. But back to this lady. She's going to bail her son out of jail. He's in Arizona. He went to school here in California. He's down there. It was an armed robbery. Him and his buddy had never smoked weed before. They went to buy 2 joints. The white kid selling them the weed turned around, pulled a gun out on him, going to rob him for the money. Well, these 2 big African-American kids said, not today's your unlucky day. They took the gun, they took the weed, and they left. They threw the gun in the garbage. They got arrested for armed robbery. The two African-American boys got arrested for armed robbery. Really an unbelievable story. Yes, unbelievable story, but true. Bailed him out of jail for $75,000. This mother calls. We said, well, we don't do bail in Arizona, but come down. She came down along with her parents, both of her parents. Mixed race family. The lady whose son was in jail, her mother was Hispanic. The father was an African-American gentleman. Absolutely salt of the earth people. I just looked at them all and went, oh my gosh, you people are amazing. I just can't believe it. So now I got to do this bond looking at these folks. And after explaining bail, however, well, I can't tell you where she worked or what she did, but she was a very, very high ranking official in a very, very, very powerful organization in California that has a lot to do and say what happens down there at the Capitol, at the state Capitol. When I educated her about bail works, and when she saw her son in need of a bail bonds, and she said, this whole movement to get rid of bail, now I understand it. Now I get it. Now I am faced with having to bail my son out of jail because a judge would not let my son go. Why wouldn't he let my son go? My son's a good kid. He went to this college here. He played football for 4 years. Well, let's look at why that judge in Arizona wouldn't let your son go. Your son's from Arizona. He's a college student, armed robbery, took a gun from I'm going to say it, a white kid, took the marijuana, and the kids didn't even end up smoking the marijuana. They were so freaked out. The judge didn't let him go. If it was not for me, as I told his mother and the grandparents, if it was not for me, your son would languish in jail until his case was adjudicated. Thank the good Lord, I'm a bail bondsman. I'm here to help you. We ended up getting that young man out of jail. That case was dumped and gone. It was a horrific tragedy. That lady went on to try and advocate to Bob Hertzberg to try and say, Bob, I think we got this wrong. He says, it's too late. The train has left the station. We're getting rid of bail. Well, he lost. he lost. So thank you for letting me tell that story, because it wasn't until somebody like that experienced it.
I told you, I think I have my theory. My theory is they want to just absolutely destroy and remove the middle class. That's the state of California. Get rid of those of us who have built businesses, those of us who believe in being self-reliant, not relying on the government to take care of us from cradle to grave. Most of us are paying the taxes. Most of us are bearing the burden of running businesses that are employing people. And most of us are being starved out of being able to even stay in our own state. Why would they do that? It's fantastic. You get the whole Silicon Valley, the whole state of California. Everything's run by the government. Everything's big corporations, and we little guys who actually think for ourselves and actually, for the most part, vote Republican or at least conservative. Get them out of here. We don't want them here. We don't care how you get rid of them. I think this is just another attempt, personally, to erode and make our system of justice a joke, and to put more and more very bad people back on the street as quickly as possible. That's my theory, Topo.
I want to add, there's one you sparked something. You said, they called us predators. They call people that work in my profession predators. Really? And and they use that word at the Capitol.
Not the criminal, but you're the predator.
Oh, no. Predators. And that we are focused on aiming at the minority communities, and that we take money from them. Well, the fact of the matter is, I just had to tell you, to those folks down there are more minorities in the bail bond business than not. There are more. I mean, I'm a Hispanic, second generation. You were born in California. I'm a Mexican. There are more minorities. There are more women in the bail bond profession than men. So to say that these minority people are going after and targeting the minority communities is absolutely, it's gross. It makes me sick, and it absolutely infuriates me, because the fact of the matter is, why are these people in our profession? We're here to help the people, because if somebody gets arrested, look, they've got the constitutional right to bail out of jail. They do have that right, and I believe in that right. And I don't sit in judgment. I'm not the judge, and I'm not the jury. It is my job to help them get out of jail. And I got to tell you, and I will speak for 99% of the people in my profession, we want to see people change. I don't want people to go to prison to learn how to be better criminals. I want them to change. And I remember one time I took a gentleman who spent more time in prison than he's been out of prison. He reformed his life. He was working for the metal union. He bought a house. He got married. I took him on a radio show, and I walked in, and he has 2 tattoos all over his face. Scared the daylights out of the radio host. I could bring him on your. I could bring him on your show. And I took him into this radio show. The host was, geez. They sat and talked for an hour. And that man said, the big culmination of his story, if it wasn't for the bail bondsman that bailed me out, and it just happened to be my father, over the decades, I never would have been held accountable for all the bad stuff I did. And I never would have gotten sick and tired of that jail cell, in that prison cell. And I never would have changed my ways. He's changed his ways. He's doing great. There's no greater joy that I get than to see somebody that I bailed out of jail before, who's done something wrong, who's been corrected, and has got a new lease on life. I promise you and guarantee you talk to people in our profession, that's what we want. You think I want a lawless community so I can stay in business and have, more cars and more this and that? You're wrong. There's always going to be crime. I want to change people's ways. And that's the God, the God-fearing in me. What I do as a man of Christ is, and I speak for all of us. That's truly what we do.
You speak with a boldness that I don't see in a lot of other businesses. It's very rare. I've only known I have a handful out of all my years, my entire adult life in the media, radio and television. I can only think of a handful of advertisers who have expressed how they feel politically in their commercials. And it wasn't just a one and done. I mean, they have continued this behavior. Yes. I mean, I knew one guy when I worked for CBS, and they were trying desperately to get him off the air. But, media, they'll take your money and run. That's all they care about is the bottom line dollar. At least it used to be. Now it's so corporate and dirty. They would turn you down, cancel your advertising just because you talk the way Topo does. But this guy literally said, I only have 60 seconds to tell you my take on what's going on with the election or whatever, fill in the blank. So I'm going to do it. And it was brilliant analogy. Bam, 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 bam. And he goes, I paid for this time to be able to tell you exactly what's going on, because you're not going to hear it when they go back to regular programming. Dude, I was stunned by that. I've never heard anybody with that kind of boldness. Has that hurt your business, speaking forthrightly the way you do?
Charlie, I appreciate that question. I got to be honest with you, I've probably been asked that once or twice, because as you said, I mean, and I have great relationships with the radio companies that I've advertised with. And I will tell you that a friend of mine owned a very, very, very nice gun store in town. And there were certain stations he could advertise on and certain he could not. And that was sad. I mean, here we have a constitutional right to own firearms, and he couldn't advertise firearms. Yet you listen to some of the other garbage that you can advertise. So on that note, I have always kept in mind, my political views and my things I do say and the attacks I've had on politicians. And while I do and have felt somewhat of a slight in business, because I don't come out and advocate just for the victims, and I don't come out and advocate just for the cops or this or the community. I truly advocate too, and I will continue, and I'll never stop, for the people that are arrested. I got to tell you, I mean, and I am not putting on myself on the same throne as Lady Justice, but I'll tell you, that Lady Justice standing there in the middle, holding those scales, I sit in that same position. It is not my job to judge whether somebody is guilty or innocent. And I've had people say, well, I will never bail out a child molester. And I get that. And God bless you. If you don't choose to do that, I get it. I understand. Have I? Yes, I have. Because they, like anybody else, have that right to bail out of jail. But I will tell you this.
An alleged child molester. Just because charges have been brought doesn't mean that they're factual. And that's not your job either, is it now, to decide what's real and what's right? That's why we have a system of justice.
It is not. And I have a real axe to grind with a church that I grew up in, because there was a priest that was accused of a crime involving a sex crime. And the leader of this church came out and said, no, to the congregation, nobody bail him out of jail, and nobody helped raise money to get him an attorney. And I thought, are you kidding me? Here, a church that sits with Christ and God, and we're here for mankind and for justice. And you're saying that, and I don't call that man my leader anymore. He's not. He became a political advocate there. So back to that is that, it's not our job to sit in judgment of these people. And I'm not saying I'm going to go out and get anybody and everybody out of jail. If I felt as though somebody was a threat and just a threat to society, number one, I would pray a judge would set his bail in a position to where he may not be able to get out. He or she may not be able to get out. But the fact is that I'm going to make sure, and this is one of the most important things I'm going to say to you. When we bail somebody out of jail, I don't just go, hey, I need $5,000 and somebody to sign on that piece of paper, fog a mirror, and you're good to go. My job is to look at this person, what they're in jail for, their criminal history, where they live, where they're from, get the background on them, and then to get an indemnitor, somebody, a family member, a mom, dad, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, friend, I don't care who it is, somebody that's going to have the wherewithal to stand up, that if this person does miss court, they're going to help me get him back, number one. But number two, that maybe, just maybe, this person that's getting released from jail is going, my sister put up her house for this bond. She co-signed on the dotted line. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm not going to do this. And a study I'm going to tell you about is our very own right here in Yolo County, DA Jeff Reisig. Jeff Reisig is a bold man. He is all about changing our corrections, our Department of Corrections. He is all about reforming these people. He is all about getting people help. A wonderful human being, somebody I call a dear friend, because I just love the way he looks at the criminal justice system, and he's a great DA. He did a study. He looked at the recidivism when COVID hit and we had zero bail. What a ploy that was. Zero bail. That's going to help stop the spread of COVID. What a bunch of crap that was. So sorry for that, but it gets me.
Weird.
He did a study on zero bail and looked at the recidivism rate, and it was over 70% of the people that were released without bail, that were released with his signature on the bottom line, committed another crime and went back to jail. And the state of California doesn't get that. Los Angeles, just on October 1st, enacted zero bail in the city of Los Angeles, a city of 8 million people that about 4 years ago had over 2.1 million warrants in their system. So a quarter of their people essentially had warrants in their city, a city that is being rampaged by crime, homelessness, and fentanyl deaths and all that stuff. And they are enacting zero bail because they know better. And certainly they're not going to listen to Jeff Reisig from little old Yolo County. It's called relative facts, people. Relative facts. You look at the population of Yolo County, you look at the recidivism rate, Los Angeles isn't going to be any different. But they're too smart. They know better.
They always are so arrogant that way, aren't they? The left is
They
so
are.
arrogant. And you'll bring up all these different examples of, they tried that here and they tried that there and they tried that in this country. They tried that in that nation. They tried that in that state. None of it worked. Their response is baffling to me because it's always like, well, they didn't do it right. We know a better way.
Charlie, on that note, I want to tell you something. It might blow your mind. A little factoid. There are two countries in this world, the entire world, that have bail bondsmen: the United States and the Philippines. And I can't tell you how many times people said to me, well, see, we should do it the way they do it. We have the most civilized society in the entire world.
Amen.
We truly have the greatest criminal justice system in the entire world. We truly do, believe it or not.
At least for now.
We have bail bondsmen. So maybe they ought to follow us. And I'm not saying that to keep my job, because I got to be honest with you. If I wasn't doing this, one of the jobs I would do, if I wasn't a helicopter pilot or airplane pilot, I would go into radio marketing, advertising. I would tell people about marketing on radio and or on these podcasts. My wife and I listen to a podcast every day. Two good friends of ours. I hope I can mention their name. I don't know if it doesn't offend you, but Armstrong Getty, two gentlemen that
huge fans. And I've met Jack Armstrong at a gun store grand opening, by the way, is where I met Jack Armstrong. I'm a huge fan. I get it. Those guys are great.
Yeah. They are wonderful. And they're, sometimes you might not be able to tell what political party they're with. And the reason I bring that up is that I'm not here to protect my job and what I have. Yes, I am. But I'll tell you what, folks, I can go do a lot more things. I could go do a lot different things. I am here because we should have the constitutional right to have a private person like me say, I will bail you out of jail. I will get you out of jail. You're not under government control. You're not on a GPS monitor. I'll get you out of jail at no cost to the taxpayers. What I do doesn't cost taxpayers any money. I'll get you out of jail. I'll make sure you go to court. That's why I advocate.
Will cost taxpayers a tremendous amount of money, what they're proposing, what they're trying to do. But then again, that's the government takedown and control of private industry. That's
yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I just, for people like yourself doing what you're doing, I wish more people would support you. And I will tell you this, my friend, I'll support you in any way, shape, or form I can, because this all starts with our faith in the good Lord. I'm going through a health crisis right now, dealing with cancer. And
Topo,
I can't imagine.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
That's why I'm at home. Yeah, that's why I'm at home and not in my office. And I don't say that for sympathy, but I say this, man. I do not know how anybody could go through with what I'm going through without relying on a higher power. And Lord, thankful for me, I got the good Lord in Christ and my life. But if you didn't have somebody, I don't care who it is, Allah, I don't care. John Smith, a higher power to beckon faith and support and your health crisis. I pray for those people. And what you're doing, my friend, is out here bringing things to light. And I wish more people would support you, because I've known you, I've known about you, I know what you speak about, and God bless you for doing what you're doing.
Those are very kind words. And where do we find you? How do we get involved with what you're doing? Or if we have some thoughts or questions, how do we reach you?
So I'm very accessible. You call my office, and I love when I get calls from people, especially if I come out with a little edgy commercial. Like, oh, I want to talk to that guy. I will jump on the phone. I have an office phone not 10 feet from me that I can jump on, and I will. I'm not afraid to run. I love, as you can tell, I love conversing. I love talking about things. I love more than bail. I'm a baseball umpire. I love umpiring baseball and arbiter. I go do that for the kids. I do that for the adults because I do umpire. I do high school and college baseball. I do it for the love of my community and country. And so I look at my life and what I've done, and I always wanted to be somebody that could go make a difference in this community and our country. And the good Lord answered my prayers, so I am able to do that. So I'm available on phone. My office number is 446-BOND. That is 446-BOND. Or you can find me on the web at PadillaBailBonds.com. I don't do that as a commercial to say, hey, call me up for a bail bond. I hope you do. If you have a question, I am always available. My email is easy. It's topo@gregpadilla.com. I welcome any questions, any challenges, any assertion anybody wants to make into this.
I think the best
equation.
place to start too, to be able to get all of this in one central location, is PadillaBailBonds.com. And Padilla is spelled Padilla, bailbonds.com. Brother, you're amazing, and we're going to lift you up in prayer. And I ask everybody who's watching and listening to remember Topo, Topo. Yes, that is a nickname. What is your actual first name, by the way?
My real name is Greg. Greg Padilla. That's why this is Topo Padilla from Greg Padilla. I am not. My dad didn't have a middle name when he was born. He says he couldn't afford it. He couldn't afford a middle name, and I do have a middle name. But my real name is Greg. I've gone by Topo since I was a baby. Got that name from the Ed Sullivan Show, little Topo Gigio. They thought I would shake it in school, and then in high school and in college, and I never did. So I've used Topo my entire life.
That's funny. All right, brother. All the best to you. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk about this here on Do Not Talk. I'm Charlie Simons, and my producer, Kirk Deshawn, with Forefront Aerial Productions. Thank you, sir, for always making this happen so well. And thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. Wherever you're watching or listening to this show, you help us tremendously in amazing ways when you share these shows. That's how these shows grow. And this is a ministry. That's what this is. So you can support us financially. The link is below for Give, Send, Go. You can do a one-time donation or a regular one, or you can become a monthly subscriber at notalk.locals.com. And get a shirt, would you? God Family Country. This shirt is awesome. It is super high quality, and the neckline actually stays at your neck where it's supposed to. That drives me crazy because I'm a big guy. I'm an XL guy, and automatically, because you're XL, they clothing designers design everything like, oh, that must mean he's fat. And I do have some of that. I'm big, I'm bulky, and I want that neck to stay where it's supposed to, not all droopy down here. I hate that. So if you were with me, God Family Country, and on the front is this logo, Do Not Talk. And this is our mug, 15-ouncer, baby, where we talk about two things you're never supposed to talk about: religion and politics. It's about time. And you can get those at do-not-talk.com. do-not-talk.com. You'll be getting something nice, and you'll be supporting our ministry here. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America, but most importantly, may America bless God.